On the night of June 25th, 2014, my daughter Bree was murdered by her boyfriend Josh in the home where he lives with his parents, Philip and Shannon Almeida. Josh's parents did not warn Bree how dangerous Josh was, and the information they withheld ultimately may have cost Bree her life. Investigators and prosecutors have stated the evidence and the lividity in Bree's body support that Bree was killed approximately 2 hours before Josh's mother, Shannon, called 911. Bree was smart. She trusted and believed Josh and his parents, Philip and Shannon. In Alaska, under Alaska law, perjury under Section A person commits the crime of perjury if the person makes a false sworn statement which the person does not believe to be true. Perjury is a Class B felony.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today, in the form of establishment, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
You understand that if you are untruthful, charges of perjury can apply?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give today, in the form of establishment, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Testimony is under oath. That means charges of perjury can apply.
Would you raise your right hands, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the form of this deposition is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Did Kayla Klemke ever take your gun?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
One time I was drunk.
Paragraph 8 says, after I took the gun, I told Shannon about the fight Josh and I had. I also told her Josh had threatened to kill himself, and I was afraid he would follow through with that threat. 9. Shannon didn't seem surprised when I told her Josh had a gun. Question, do you remember having this conversation with Kayla Klemke where Kayla is describing telling you that she was afraid Joshua would follow through with his threat to kill himself?
No, this did not happen.
Do you know if your dad ever knew from your mother about that gun behind the BB?
An
objection?
I'm almost certain he did.
Okay. And why are you almost certain? Maybe he said something?
Because from what I remember when they brought me into the room, because I stole my dad's debit card to get money to buy the gun. So
Oh, I see.
I remember him being in the room when my mom was telling me about it, asking me about it.
Did your parents ever, to your memory, tell you you can't own a gun because you're a felon?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at the time of the murder, how many guns were you aware that Joshua had owned over his lifetime? You had the one and you took that away.
That was the only one I didn't even know if the one he used was his
Okay.
at the Millennium.
Okay.
So, that was the only one I was aware of.
Okay, so you took one away from him, and that's the one that's the first page of Exhibit 2, that
Yes.
gun. And then you were aware that he had a gun that was taken by the police because of the Millennium issue, but it sounds like you're not sure if that was even his.
I had no knowledge.
Were you
that
aware
was-
of Joshua owning any other guns?
No.
Have you ever seen any texts or statements by Joshua indicating that he did own other guns?
No.
Okay, so at any time prior to that murder, did you ever learn from anyone that Joshua was in possession of a gun?
Specifically from anybody, no.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I don't even think Shannon even mentioned it.
In terms of whether Josh had ever been in possession of any firearm, I'm understanding that you had absolutely no idea that Joshua had any firearm up until the time that he killed Bree.
Correct.
And again, since you had, sounds like up until the time of Bree's murder, you didn't have any indication that Joshua had ever owned a gun, so that wasn't on your radar, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay. Had Shannon ever talked to you at all about concerns that Joshua may have a gun? Or?
Not that I can remember.
First of all, Joshua indicates that his parents, maybe it was both of you, maybe it was just Shannon, but he says that when asked whether or not Philip and Shannon knew Joshua was in possession of a firearm and had threatened his former girlfriends with it, Joshua seems to say that they did know he had a firearm. So, had you ever heard Joshua indicate that you and or Shannon were aware that he was in possession of a firearm?
No.
Okay. And it sounds, I'm assuming you still maintain that you knew nothing about Joshua possessing any firearm until the day of Bree's murder.
Correct.
So the first page is in fact the gun that Lauren sent to you. Did you have any, what did you tell Lauren when she sent you this picture?
Go check on him?
Okay, and did you?
Absolutely.
What did you do?
I took the gun away from him.
Okay, you went down there and you said what?
I don't know what I said, but I told him, Lauren told me that you're threatening to hurt yourself and you have a gun. I want it and I want it now.
Okay, so what did he say?
And he gave me the gun.
Okay, what did you do with the gun?
I gave it to my husband.
What did your husband do with the gun?
I believe he gave it to the police.
Okay. What do you remember about the horse?
That was her favorite horse and that he was going to shoot it or something like that.
Okay. Josh had relayed to his girlfriend that he was going to shoot the horse.
Like that, yes.
Okay. Did you have any contact or discussion with Joshua about how he would accomplish that without possession of a gun?
What, how he would shoot the horse?
Well, I mean, if I heard my child was going to shoot, even threatening to shoot something, I would want to know, hey, do you have a gun? Right? Did you ever have that conversation with
I
Joshua?
think I did.
So the gun that Shannon gave you, you put on the porch and called the police and they just come and pick it up? That's how that went
Pretty
down?
much.
Okay. When you say pretty much, any change? I mean, you called,
I can't remember if I put it on the porch or put it on the porch and then when the officer came, I went out, I couldn't tell you.
okay. You may or may not have had interaction with the officer.
Correct.
Okay. But the officer did come to your house and pick up that gun.
It was gone.
And what was the explanation that you gave to APD?
No explanation.
What
I don't
happened?
want it, don't need it, it's not mine.
What's your best estimate as to when that happened?
I couldn't tell you exactly, probably about 4 or 5 months prior to Bree, I think. I can't remember,
Okay.
not sure.
4 to 5 months would have been like, what did we say, January, February 2014?
No, I get that mixed up. Not this one, I can't remember when this one was. We moved in the house in September timeframe.
I'm sorry, I missed
I'm
that.
confusing the guns
That's
up.
okay, that's okay. So when you say you're confusing your guns up,
Well, okay, the 4 to 5 months was the one of Breeze, finding that. When the one was put on the deck, I couldn't tell you exactly when.
earlier I asked you whether or not you were aware that Joshua had any guns, and it was, I'm 100% sure that your testimony was that the first time you were aware Josh had ever owned a gun was the time that he murdered Bree. Do you recall that testimony?
I think so.
Okay, so now it sounds like you're telling me you do remember an incident where you called the police and turned in a gun.
So after reading this reminded me of
Of the fact your son had a gun?
transpired in the
Okay.
past, yes.
All right. Up until, just so I got it crystal clear, up until now,
Pardon?
you didn't, up until
Oh, I'm
now, just now,
Yes.
when I showed you the statement by Joshua, you did not remember that your son had a gun that was taken away and which you voluntarily gave over to the police, correct?
Okay,
Earlier, we've established, you told me, under oath, Joshua never had a gun, to my knowledge, until I learned that he killed Bree with, that was the first time I knew that he had any access to a gun. Recall that?
okay,
Is that true? Do you remember testifying to that?
I think so. I
Okay,
think I
okay, great. So then I showed you this statement where Joshua is saying, I handed over, my mom found a Glock and she turned it over to the police. After reading this statement, you are now testifying under oath that, oh yeah, I just previously forgot that Joshua had a gun before he killed Bree. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Just slipped your mind the existence
Yes.
of it earlier. Did your mom ever come and talk to you about the fact that you texted that gun picture to Lauren Roan?
I think so.
Okay. What do you remember your mother doing? Like, how do you remember that conversation coming up?
I don't remember. I mean, I think she came down and said, she asked me if I had a gun or,
Okay, she asked you if you had a gun. What did you say?
no, of course not.
And then she what? Showed you the picture?
Yeah,
And then you said what?
I would say it's an old picture.
And she said,
I don't know. It's a long time ago.
did she take your gun at that point?
No, she didn't know I had a gun.
Okay, because she believed that was an old picture.
Because I told her to her.
Just to be clear, the picture of the Glock 17 that you texted to Lauren Roan, that's the gun that's responsible for Bree's death? Yes?
I think so, yes.
How many guns do you estimate that you had? I mean, I gotta tell you, your parents were not knowledgeable of any guns, and you're living in their house. I'm gonna get your best guesstimate as to the number of guns you have had during the time you lived in that house, because frankly, it's a little baffling. Are we talking over 10 guns?
Farm Foundation.
Best estimate, how many guns have you owned?
Probably 10.
And just for the record, I want to make sure to recall this correctly. The guns that were taken from you by your parents would have included when you were 13 or 14, your mom took a gun that your dad knew about.
Mm-hmm.
And then at another point, your mom took a gun
Yes, a couple of years later, they took it down from there.
and your dad knew about that.
Yes.
God, Joshua, why do you have a gun again?
It's the same gun that I've had.
I didn't even know you had a gun.
Okay. Who do you think should be allowed to own a gun? What kind of
Everybody.
restrictions?
Under Alaska law, tampering with physical evidence is a C felony.
My point is that she was probably shot sometime sooner than, well sooner before Miss Almeida found out about it, and she was alerted and she came down.
Pointed it at her and pulled the trigger. And remember the gun going off and dropped the gun, ran to her side, grabbed her by her shoulder, went to shake her, but I knew she was gone. I just looked in her eyes and knew she was gone. She had blood everywhere. And so I screamed for my mom. She came downstairs and called the ambulance.
Where did you put the handgun at now? Where is it?
I don't want to say.
Okay. Okay, well, when the officers get there, they're going to need to know where it is.
I know. Okay, it's in the dishwasher. Taylor, Joshua, I don't want you to touch her. Leave her be.
Yeah, he needs to, I know.
I need you to leave her be. Joshua, I need you to leave her be, please. Come on, this is not right. She's gone. She's not there. I don't know what happened, but it's awful, Joshua. But we need to let her be. You can't do anything to fix that. I need you to come and sit with me. We can't fix this.
At 10:22, you sent a text to Josh, and it says something like, "What are you doing?"
I don't know what's going on down there.
Something like
I heard the dog and him playing, and I heard the phone dragging around on the ground, and I thought he was going to study. At least that's what he said. So I was like, hey, what are you doing?
And did you get any response?
When I went upstairs, he poked his head up.
Andrew Lambert, 2 hours and 43 minutes in, says Josh didn't wait to tell his mother, meaning after the death.
I also don't believe that the state is correct that somehow Josh shoots and he's calm and he's just kind of figuring out what's going on downstairs. What do I do now? I'll wait a while, and then suddenly I'm going to make this frantic call to my mother and to 911. I don't think that's realistic to take place.
Now the pool table room, it's got this picture of something called carpet cleaner. Any idea what that's doing down there?
Yeah, I don't know since there's no carpet down there.
I know, I didn't know for that same reason. You don't have any blue gloves at your house for cleaning or what have you?
I think my mom does. I don't ever use them.
Okay. Do you know what you were wearing when you were at the Tesoro personal alcohol?
Yeah, pants and shirt.
Okay. What kind of shoes were you wearing, if you know?
I have no clue.
Do you know if the police ever found the pants you were wearing?
Yeah, I don't know where these mysterious pants went.
Was there anything done that you're aware of to clean up the house in any manner between the time the gunshot went off and the time that you 911 was called?
No.
Did you hear Paul Mayovis talking about the fact that that Bree's body at some point after being shot had been moved.
I think I remember hearing that.
Okay. And the reason that they knew that was because of the imprint caused by the remote control.
I remember hearing that. Okay.
They say the Almeidas downplayed their son's problems.
And they told us that, well, Josh had had some problems. He was hanging out with the wrong crowd. He had been drinking. He had done drugs. And he's not doing that anymore.
But Josh had a long criminal history, including an arrest just before he dated Bree. This indictment says he beat his girlfriend in a drunken rage at her home. First, he threw her on the floor and she hit the door frame. Then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her across the living room, where he punched her in the head and hit her with a mirror in the rib cage. After he passed out, the girlfriend sought help from Josh's mother, who came to the home and cleaned up the crime scene. Josh was later acquitted.
They failed to tell us of the incident with his prior girlfriend. They failed to tell us he was a convicted felon. They failed to tell us that they had taken multiple guns away from him and that he probably did have a gun at that time.
The night Bree was shot in the head and killed, Josh's mother was home, but didn't call 911 until 2 hours after her death.
The reason I asked about the guns, you asked about the firearms, and so did I, because right now there's bullet holes down the hallway, there's bullet holes through the window, there's 2 bullet holes on the side of her car. You know anything about any of that?
No, I don't.
Did you see a gun in the house?
I asked. I don't remember seeing one.
What did she say when you asked if there was any firearms?
She said there were some. I was like, are they locked? Are they secured?
Any weapons or anything?
Not that I remember.
You were there
I
at
was
8
there
o'clock.
by myself, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but I don't remember if anyone else came by. I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember the gun ever being fired?
I don't remember anything. I remember from 9 o'clock drinking to 8 o'clock in the morning. My dad answered the door.
Counsel, I have conducted an inquiry of Ms. Almeida. I found that she has a valid right to assert the Fifth Amendment. I think there is in the chain, link in the chain to a C felony. I could have a letter ready to go. What's his name?
First name, Philip.
First name?
Philip.
Philip.
Phillo.
And I assume it to be the same link that he would have a concern about that you described to me.
Yes. You and your husband, Philip, went to Kimber Doobie's house.
Correct.
Okay. There was blood on the floor?
Yes, there was blood on the floor around my son.
Was there blood anywhere else?
On the countertop, there was like a little hand print.
At some point, did somebody clean up the blood?
Well, I cleaned up the blood on the floor.
Okay, then as I stepped back and was looking for stuff to clean it up, that's when I saw some blood on the countertop. At that time, you know, as I was cleaning up the stuff on the floor, you know, looking around everything, there was a gun on the floor. Immediately I picked it up, looked at it, found out how to release it since it was a revolver, and then I just opened up a cabinet and put it away, secured it.
One of your very first questions to Miss Doobie, who came over to your house in the middle of the night, was, is there a firearm? You went over to the house and you found a firearm, correct?
After, yes, I guess.
And you didn't just leave it aside, right?
Pardon?
You did not just leave it there. You picked it up.
Yes.
And you didn't just put it on the shelf. You emptied it first.
Yes.
But with that first officer, when he gave you that full and fair opportunity to say what had happened, the one detail you left out was the gun, right?
I guess yes.
Was Josh given a diagnosis in 2011 and 12 for anything besides alcohol addiction?
The alcohol, the cocaine, substance abuse, and I believe the doctor said that he might be borderline personality disorder.
At the sentencing hearing, you stated to the court that you had no idea Joshua had a weapon and you had no idea he was drinking.
Correct.
Also, at sentencing, you said basically after the testimony of Dr. Zelig, you said, "We are now aware of Josh's diagnosis." And in particular, quote, "There previously wasn't any direction for us and he needs additional help," end quote. Do you remember saying that in open court?
Yes.
Okay. But actually, you were aware of his diagnosis back in 2011 and 2012, correct?
Correct.
2 years before Bree is shot and killed. He was diagnosed then. How many people are sitting in Mr. Almeida's situation that were actually diagnosed of their mental illness 2 years before that, had all of the resources to address it, and didn't? Very rare. It's very rare. They knew what he needed. It wasn't that they told him, you go away and come back when you got your substance abuse straightened out. He didn't want to go to inpatient. There's that note in there, Judge. I don't know if you recall this or not, but his dad said, "We have insurance. We can send him to in treatment."
Yeah.
Did Josh do any treatment in 2011 in response to that 2011 evaluation at Providence?
Well, like I said, I didn't go to any of his with him. If he went, I don't know. Counseling is different than treatment.
Okay. And you've never talked to any of his medical evaluators?
No, not privy to that. He's an adult.
Okay. Have you seen any of his counseling records?
No.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Bree about the fact that the doctors thought he might be, what did you say it was, borderline personality disorder?
No, I don't believe we discussed that.
During the time, I guess it was Easter, that you met both Butch and Cindy, did you tell them about Joshua's challenges?
No.
When you met Cindy that second time, did you talk to her about Joshua's challenges?
No.
If you believed it was important for the family to know what Joshua was dealing with, why didn't you call them up and tell them?
I was under the impression that Brianna talked with her parents about them.
Other than talking to Bree about the alcohol use and the addiction issues, did you talk to Bree about any other concerns involving Joshua? For example, did you talk to her about the fact that he's not allowed to have a weapon?
No.
The fact that he'd been twice seen for psychiatric care?
But she knew that.
How did she know that?
Because I'm sure her and Josh talked about that.
Did you ever tell Bree whether he was or was not dangerous?
No.
Okay. You didn't believe he was dangerous?
No.
Do you believe that Joshua assaulted Kimber?
No.
Do you believe Joshua has ever assaulted any of his girlfriends?
No.
Did you ever tell Bree that the Kimber Doobie incident was, that Josh hadn't assaulted her?
I don't believe we discussed that. No.
Did you ever tell Bree about the fact that that Josh had texted a picture of a gun to Lauren Rome and threatened her horse?
No.
Did you talk to Bree about any of the gun issues relating to the fact that Josh was not allowed to have weapons?
No. I didn't believe the gun was an issue.
Do you need police help or ambulance?
My son is going crazy right
Okay,
now, ma'am.
does he have any weapons?
Yes, he does. He's got a stick to a broken pole cue.
Okay, can you get away from him?
Yes, right now.
Okay, get away from
But
him.
he could get into the house right now.
Just
I
a
need
second.
help now.
I know, I'm getting you help, okay? Just stay on the phone with me and keep telling me what's going on, all right? How old is he?
20 years old.
I'm governor today because of the campaign promises I made to the people of Alaska on the issues most of us believe in. I'm here to do exactly what I promised to do, what I told Alaskans I would do. So here it is. Number one, we're going to declare war on criminals.
When there is overwhelming evidence of a felony-level crime, will you prosecute all offenders, including those who committed crimes before your appointment that are within the statute of limitations,
Through the chair, Senator, yes, I am. And as I understood the question, I wrote it down. If there's overwhelming evidence of the commitment of a crime, that sounds like a crime that should be prosecuted. And that's sort of a generic situation. Every case is different. Every situation will be different. But I can assure you that, yes, given resources available, yes. I mean, obviously, when resources become scarce, you have to prioritize. I don't fully, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, I don't fully know how that's going to play out yet. I've only been in this position for 2 months so far. But the way that the criminal division prioritizes the cases that they prosecute is violent crime gets prosecuted as a priority over other crimes, and then felonies over misdemeanors. But as you described that, I would say, yeah, I could give you that assurance.
But you need to keep your mouth shut, or you're in trouble for a long time. I don't know what happened, and don't tell me. I don't get it. I don't know either. I don't know what happened, and I don't want to know.
I didn't say anything. I just told him what I just said. I didn't say that, so I don't know what happened.